As you'll remember from a previous video, simply building the model isn't enough for a scenery asset in or on Trainz. First of all, I wanted to fix some other normal issues with the model. The exterior model had minor problems. Like these normals on the edge of the grill were flipped the wrong way, for example. So here I am dealing with those. So select flip normals, same as in the interior model. At least in this case, in the object view, in solid, they appear darker than the rest, so the normal problem is more obvious. I had a lot of trouble selecting them for some reason. I think the bumper was in the way. That was the main reason. So we flip the normals. In this case, I recalculated, actually. I didn't do a proper flip because I wasn't entirely sure what I was dealing with, and it seems to have worked. A second thing that I did was that I added some thickness to the bars in the grill, because if I didn't do this, it was clear that many of them would only appear facing in one direction, because the normals can only face one direction at a time. This isn't a problem inside Blender, but it is a problem in many games, and it's also a problem in 3D Studio Max. It's just not supposed to be that you have surfaces with no thickness. And in real life it's the same thing, except I prefer to not have thickness if something is supposed to be very thin. And unfortunately, my personal views of this don't always conform to what can actually work. Not everybody programs the way I think, of course. So here I'm adding some thickness to the vertical bars. I only just added enough so that the thickness would exist and would be visible. I don't know how many millimeters that is, but it's not a lot. It probably works out to something close to the thickness of the real thing, because these were fairly sharp edges on the real car. They might even be a little bit thicker, but I wanted also to be able to see my own work, so there the right side is done. Then the left side, I tried to extrude to the outer edge of the car so that it would be consistent. But these measurements, as in most other cases in this project, are somewhat imprecise. And you notice also, you get the clue there that the normals on those 4 bars, for some reason which is unknown to me, also appear to be wrong. So I'm going to recalculate those as well. So it doesn't look too bad, but you can see those bars are not right. So what do I do? Well, I select one or more vertices, use Control L, and of course use the Shift select Control L to get them all selected at once. Here I recalculate the normals, and now that should work. But I'm not done. because, as I said, this is only the beginning. I have to put together the scenery asset file, and this is partly why I'm using the red texture, is that I already have the white Vega more or less done, whereas the red Vega has not been built yet. So this is actually the actual building of the red Vega for on Trainz. It's not a demonstration. So there are the files. It includes the texture, as well as all the other textures like the interior, the wheels, the black, and so on, as well as these text files that assign the texture. And then there's the configuration file there, the config, which would have more significance if this were an operating vehicle, but in this case it just indicates to on Trainz what it is. In this case, a scenery asset. And I'm actually going to discard that, believe it or not, because it's copied from the white one. And it will not match because the KUID number is wrong. I need to issue a new one. So I'm going to build a new config file with the content manager, as you'll see in a minute. But first, I'm going through all the other colors of Vega that currently exist in progress here, because I'm also going to build those at this point. Although I'm not going to show every individual one being built, because that would take all day. Here's just an example of the blue one. I've obviously modeled the blue Vega from Wikipedia. I don't actually know who owns that, but judging from the plates, it was for sale at the time that they photographed it. So who really knows who owns it now? And I have a black date plate there, because I have seen some photographs of Vegas that had them. I think it looks better with the olive paint. So anyway, into Content Manager. So I'm going to create a new scenery asset after I set up the new version of the white Vega. The white Vega is the simplest one to do because it's more or less a modification of the existing one. So the KUID number is the same. So all I really need to do is debug my changes here and commit it. So I watch the details here to see what I did wrong. I have some warnings. So I investigate it. Everything should more or less work, except, I don't know about except anything. It just seems to work. However, I should add, you'll see in a minute, the black texture for some reason, even though it appears in the mesh viewer, it doesn't appear in on Trainz. And this is a bug that I can't trace. I haven't figured this out yet. It might be that a pure black texture counts as an alpha, as in redline, but we'll see about that.